Sometimes in life, everything begins to fall apart at the exact moment you thought it would finally come together. You lose people you thought were permanent, opportunities slip through your hands, and the plans you made with such hope seem to collapse. And when that happens, most people assume Allah has abandoned them. But what if those very moments are proof that He is preparing you for something far greater than anything you imagined? My brothers and sisters, don't switch off now, because what you see as an ending might actually be the beginning of a chapter you prayed for. The reason you must listen till the end is simple. Many people misinterpret Allah's preparation as punishment. They walk away right before their breakthrough. And maybe this message is the reminder you needed to hold on just a little longer. Let's talk about the signs. The first sign, things that once worked smoothly suddenly stop working. A job ends, a relationship fades, a door shuts, not because you are unlucky, but because Allah sometimes removes the temporary to make space for the permanent. The second sign, you begin to face more tests than before. Your patience is stretched, your emotions feel heavy. These trials are not to break you, they are to shape you. Diamonds don't form in comfort, they form under pressure. The third sign, Allah distances you from certain people. You might feel lonely or misunderstood, but understand this: not everyone is meant to walk with you into the next phase. Allah disconnects you to reconnect you with your destiny. The fourth sign, your heart starts relying more on Allah. You find yourself making dua more often, seeking forgiveness, or waking up for prayer with sincerity. Your faith grows not because life is easy, but because Allah is calling you closer. The fifth sign, you're given moments of silence and isolation. Maybe you don't get invited out as often. Maybe your phone doesn't ring like it used to. That silence isn't emptiness, it's space for reflection, healing, and redirection. The sixth sign, you feel a restlessness inside you, a feeling that there's more to life than what you're living right now. That urge isn't random, it's a signal from your soul that Allah is preparing you for elevation. And the seventh sign, Allah places new opportunities, ideas, or clarity in your heart. Even if nothing has changed on the outside, inside you feel a shift. You start to think differently, dream differently, and see differently. My beloved brothers and sisters, when these signs appear in your life, don't panic, prepare. Don't complain, reflect. Don't give up, level up. Because when Allah removes something, He is not depriving you, He is upgrading you. And when He tests you, He is not punishing you, He is positioning you. So the next time life shakes you, smile. It might just be the sign that Allah is getting you ready for something greater than your imagination, greater than your plans, and greater than your expectation. Stay patient, stay connected, and stay hopeful. The author of your story has never written a chapter without purpose. If you're experiencing these signs, don't walk away. You're closer to elevation than you think. When something you counted on suddenly collapses, it can feel like your entire world is closing in on you. You planned, you hoped, you worked for it, and then out of nowhere it slips from your hands. In that moment, most people think they are facing a setback, but in reality, many of these situations are divine setups. Allah, in His wisdom, sometimes removes what you thought was good for you because He knows it would limit you, delay you, or even destroy you in ways you cannot yet understand. You see, humans become attached to comfort, routine, and familiarity. We hold on to things because they feel safe even when those things are quietly holding us back. So when a job is lost, a relationship ends, a plan falls apart, or a door closes unexpectedly, it is easy to feel defeated. But very often, Allah is not taking something away to hurt you. He is clearing the path for what He has written for you, something greater than you could imagine. Think about the times you were desperate to keep something in your life, only to realize later that losing it was the biggest blessing. There are people you once begged Allah to keep in your life, and now you thank Him for removing them. There are jobs you thought were your future, but losing them led you to growth, clarity, or better opportunities. There are disappointments that shook you but shaped you. Allah does not take without purpose, and He does not delay without reason. If something did not work out the way you planned, it is because your plan was too small for the greatness Allah has written for you. What feels like rejection is often protection. What feels like failure is often redirection. What feels like an ending is often the preparation of a beginning. Sometimes Allah blocks a path not because you are unworthy of success, but because that path would lead you to pain you cannot foresee. He might take you away from people who would later betray you. He might stop you from entering a business that would eventually collapse. He might delay a marriage that would have ended in heartbreak. But in the moment, all you see is loss. The believer who understands Allah's plan does not panic when life takes sudden turns. They know that Allah does not close a door without intending to open another, often wider and better. Your job is not to fight the closing of the door, but to trust the one who controls what opens and closes in your life. Setbacks are also a sign that Allah is removing distractions. Sometimes you are too attached to your comfort zone to move toward your true destiny. Allah will shake the ground beneath your feet to move you to the place He wants you to reach. It is not always gentle, but it is always purposeful. Maybe you were too busy chasing something temporary and Allah removed it so you could focus on what is lasting. Maybe your heart was clinging to people instead of Him, and he took them away so you could finally return to him sincerely. The pain you feel is not the pain of destruction, but the pain of transformation. A seed must be buried in darkness before it can bloom. A butterfly must struggle in the cocoon before it can fly. Growth rarely happens in comfort, and greatness is never born without a struggle. Another part of this sign is timing. You might think something should have happened by now, but Allah keeps delaying it. That delay can feel like a setback. But what if Allah is protecting your future by withholding what you think you are ready for? He knows that if He gave it to you prematurely, it would not survive. Just as a fruit picked too soon is bitter and wasted, blessings that arrive before their time can break you instead of build you. Allah might be strengthening your character, purifying your intentions, or preparing your environment before He gives you what you seek. He is not denying you, He is perfecting the timing. When unexpected changes strike, the believer does not seek chaos, they seek craftsmanship. Allah is rearranging your life for reasons that will make sense later. Even if you don't understand the wisdom now, trust that the one who created you has not forgotten you. A believer's hope is not tied to what is lost, but to the one who can replace it with something better. So the next time plans crumble, don't say, "Why is this happening to me?" Say, "Why, Allah? I trust that this is part of your preparation for something greater." In that trust, you will find peace even in confusion and strength even in uncertainty. That is the mindset of someone whom Allah is elevating through unexpected setbacks that are actually divine setups. When the tests in your life start to increase and the emotional pressure feels heavier than usual, it is easy to think you are being punished or abandoned. But often, this is one of the clear signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater. Growth does not come through ease. Diamonds are not formed on soft cushions. They are formed under immense pressure. Steel is not strengthened in cold air, it is forged in intense heat. Your soul is no different. When Allah wants to elevate you, He sends trials that refine, purify, and strengthen you in ways that comfort never could. Many people think that when they start experiencing more pain, it means their life is getting worse. But what if that pain is actually clearing the path for a breakthrough? What if the emotional storms you are facing are not signs of destruction, but signals of construction? Allah might be building something within you: patience, humility, resilience, tawakkul, traits that you cannot develop by simply reading about them or wishing for them. You learn patience when you have to wait. You learn trust when you have no control. You learn strength when you are forced to endure. You learn sincerity when you are stripped of everything but faith. Tests are also a way Allah cleanses you. When something great is coming, Allah does not want you to enter that season carrying arrogance, attachment, or sins that will sabotage your blessing. So He purifies you through trials. A person who has felt pain becomes softer in heart, more understanding of others, more grateful for blessings, and more connected to Allah. Without those tests, many people would remain heedless, ungrateful, or distant from their Lord. Pain reminds you of your need for Him. Hardship brings you back to sujood. Tears wash away spiritual blindness. There are moments in life when tests come back to back. Financial stress, emotional burden, family tension, failure in plans, loneliness, heartbreak. It all piles up until you feel like you're being crushed by it. But reflect for a moment. When do you make the sincerest du'as? When do you cry to Allah with a heart free of ego? When do you truly remember Him? Not with your tongue, but with your soul. It is usually when life is testing you. That closeness to Allah, that awakening of the heart, is not a sign of punishment. It is a sign that He loves you enough to bring you back to Him before giving you more. Someone might wonder, why does Allah test the believers most? Why do the most sincere people face the hardest challenges? The Prophet A was asked the same question, and he said that the most tested people are the prophets, then those most like them in faith and character. A weak seed cannot carry the weight of a tall tree. A flimsy foundation cannot hold a palace. If Allah is testing you intensely, it means He is shaping you for something that requires strength. There are secrets hidden in your trials. Sometimes Allah is delaying your plans because He is protecting you from something harmful. Sometimes He is teaching you patience because your next level will demand it. Sometimes He is breaking your dependency on people so you can rely fully on Him when He opens the door of opportunity. Each tear, each moment of frustration, each silent cry in the night is not unnoticed. Allah sees everything, hears every whisper of your heart, and responds in ways you do not always perceive immediately. Think of a runner who wants to build stamina. They don't train by sitting on a couch. They run uphill. They push their body to discomfort. They sweat and struggle. Why? Because what is coming will demand more strength than they currently have. Allah does the same with your soul. He puts you through experiences that stretch you, not to destroy you, but to prepare you. Behind every test, there is a shift taking place. You might not see it now, but your heart is being trained to detach from what is temporary and connect to what is eternal. Your arrogance is breaking. Your desires are being purified. Your perspective is maturing. Your faith is deepening. You are being prepared for a future that requires a stronger version of you. The emotional pressure you feel is not a sign of failure, but a sign that Allah trusts you with growth. He chose you for a journey that not everyone can handle. If you were unworthy of elevation, He would have left you in comfort and heedlessness. Instead, He brought you into a process of refinement. That is a privilege many do not recognize. So when the tests come, don't assume you are being pushed down. Understand that you are being pushed forward. Hardship may bend you, but it does not break a believer. It builds them. Allah is not oppressing you, He is preparing you. What you endure today might be the very reason you are ready for the blessing you will receive tomorrow. Hold on through the pressure, because pressure is often the final stage before transformation. There are moments in life when you feel people slipping away from you. Friends you were once close to begin to distance themselves. Conversations fade, invitations stop coming, and connections that felt strong suddenly feel hollow. You may not understand why it's happening, and it can feel like rejection or abandonment, but often Allah is pulling you away from certain individuals' habits and environments because what He has written for your future cannot coexist with what surrounds you now. Not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. Some people are there for a phase, a lesson, or a test, but they cannot be part of the journey ahead. So when Allah removes them, it is not to isolate you, it is to protect you and elevate you. There are times when the people around you are actually blocking your growth without you realizing it. They may distract you from your purpose, drain your energy, weaken your faith, or keep you tied to a version of yourself that you have outgrown. You may feel attached to them because of history, emotions, or comfort, but Allah knows the unseen. He knows that some people will delay your progress, corrupt your intentions, or cause future harm. Instead of exposing you to heartbreak later, He cuts the connection early, even if it hurts now. You may ask yourself what you did wrong, but sometimes nothing is wrong. Your story with them has simply reached its limit. Another aspect of this sign is the internal shift you feel. Things and people you once enjoyed no longer bring the same comfort. Activities that once entertained you feel empty. Environments you were once comfortable in now feel heavy or meaningless. It's not that the world suddenly changed, it's your soul being prepared for something higher. Allah is detaching you from the temporary so you can make space for something permanent. He is breaking your dependency on people so you can build dependency on Him. You may try to hold on, but when Allah decides to remove someone or something from your path, you cannot keep it no matter how hard you try. Sometimes Allah even exposes the reality of people you trusted. A friend betrays you, a loved one lies, someone you relied on disappoints you deeply. Though painful, this exposure is mercy. Allah shows you who they truly are before they can harm you further. He removes your illusions so you can walk forward without chains around your heart. It may feel harsh in the moment, but later you look back and realize it was protection, not rejection. There are also times when you feel lonely even while surrounded by people. You feel disconnected, unheard, misunderstood. This loneliness is not always a curse. It can be a divine signal that Allah wants you to turn inward and upward. He may be preparing you for a season of self-discovery, healing, and spiritual awakening. Solitude is where many people find clarity. Some of the greatest transformations happen when Allah pulls you away from crowds and distractions. You start to hear your own thoughts, feel your own soul, and listen to your heart's whispers that were once drowned by noise. Habits and lifestyles also fall into this category. You might feel a sudden disinterest in things you used to engage in: music, gatherings, social media trends, unhealthy conversations, or habits that once pleased your nafs. You may feel guilty continuing them or find them spiritually heavy. This is not random. This is the heart being guided. Allah is cleaning your environment, your time, and your inner world to prepare you for blessings that require purity, focus, and maturity. Many people resist this process. They chase after the people who left, force old friendships to survive, go back to circles that Allah pulled them from, and wonder why they feel spiritually stuck. But when you try to reopen doors Allah has closed, you only delay your own growth. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is Allah protecting me from? What is He preparing me for? That shift in thinking brings peace rather than pain. Understand that not every removal is a loss. Sometimes losing people means finding yourself. Sometimes being disconnected from your old life is the key to stepping into the one Allah wrote for you. When you are no longer tied to the wrong people, you make room for the right ones. When you stop clinging to what is gone, your hands are free to receive what is coming. So if you find yourself alone, don't assume you have been abandoned. Perhaps you have been selected. If people walked away, maybe they were never meant to walk with you to your destination. If certain groups or environments no longer feel right, maybe Allah is preparing you for company and spaces that match the person you are becoming, not the person you were. Detachment is not always loss. Sometimes it is elevation in disguise. There comes a point in a believer's life when the heart begins to shift in a way that cannot be explained by mere coincidence. You start to rely less on people and more on Allah. You find yourself turning to prayer not only in hardship but even in moments of calm. You raise your hands in dua with sincerity you didn't have before. You begin to feel a subtle change in your heart, a softening, a longing, a pull towards your Creator. This is not just a phase, it is a sign that Allah is preparing you for something greater. Faith does not suddenly grow without reason. Hearts do not awaken without divine intention. When you notice your iman increasing, your conscience becoming more alive, and your soul craving closeness to Allah, understand that this is preparation for elevation. Perhaps you used to pray out of habit, but now you feel the weight and comfort of salah. You might find yourself lingering in sujood longer, because that is where your heart feels safest. You start speaking to Allah more, while walking, while sitting, before sleeping. You apologize to Him sincerely even for small mistakes. You ask Him for guidance instead of relying solely on your own planning. This spiritual shift is a sign of divine nearness. Allah is drawing you to Himself before He grants you what you asked for or what He has written for you. Why? Because blessings given without faith often become distractions. But blessings given to a heart connected to Allah become means of gratitude and growth. There are times when you feel your sins more heavily than before. You remember things you did in the past and your heart feels remorse. You start making istighfar not only with your tongue but with true regret. You may cry in silence over mistakes that once didn't bother you. This is not weakness. This is the soul being purified so it can receive what Allah has planned for it. A heart burdened with sin struggles to carry responsibility, success or elevation. So Allah cleanses your soul through repentance before He raises your rank. You might also notice that you no longer find the same comfort in complaining to people. Instead, you talk to Allah about your fears, your plans, your difficulties. You begin to realize that people can sympathize, but only Allah can change a situation. You feel less dependent on the support of others and more assured that Allah is enough. This quiet strength, this internal reliance is a sign that your heart is being trained for a higher purpose. A believer who relies on Allah becomes unshakable because their foundation is not built on human approval or worldly means. Another part of this sign is the newfound peace you feel in worship. Even if life is difficult, your heart feels rested when you remember Allah. You could be facing challenges, but your chest no longer feels as heavy. You may not have received relief yet, but something inside you whispers, it is trust. That calmness is not accidental. It is sakina, tranquility placed by Allah into the hearts of those He is preparing and protecting. He gives peace before He gives the blessing so that when the blessing comes, you do not lose yourself in it. You may also find yourself becoming more mindful of your character. You try to control your anger. Speak kinder words, avoid gossip, and be more just in your dealings. You might start distancing yourself from situations that could harm your deen. You are not perfect, but you are aware. You feel a sense of accountability that you did not have before. Allah is polishing your manners and intentions so that when He grants you more, whether it is influence, responsibility, you carry it with humility and wisdom. Sometimes Allah increases your faith by removing your illusions of control. You plan something and it doesn't work out. You rely on someone and they disappoint you. You chase something and it slips away. These moments force your heart to submit to the reality that only Allah decides. Once you accept that, you find your soul resting in trust rather than anxiety. You stop worrying about how things will happen and start focusing on who makes them happen. And then there is the sweetness of dua. You raise your hands even when things are stable. You talk to Allah about dreams you haven't spoken to anyone about. You ask Him for guidance before taking steps. You cry for His mercy without knowing exactly why tears come. It is because your heart recognizes its Lord before your mind fully understands what is happening. Allah places that softness inside you when He is preparing you for something special. Faith is not random. Turning back to Allah is not a coincidence. A heart that begins to rely on its Creator more than the creation is a heart being shaped for greatness. So when you notice yourself making more dua, seeking forgiveness, becoming conscious of your actions, or feeling pulled towards Allah, don't ignore it. That is not just growth, it is a signal. Allah is strengthening the connection before sending the gift. He is preparing your soul before unfolding your destiny. There are moments in life when everything slows down, when the noise around you begins to fade, and you find yourself in a state of stillness. You may not receive the calls you used to. The invitations may stop coming. The routine you were accustomed to starts breaking apart. At first, it may feel like rejection or isolation, but often this is one of the clearest signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater. Silence and pauses are not always signs of emptiness. They are moments of divine rearrangement. Allah gives you space because growth requires clarity, and clarity rarely comes in the middle of noise. Sometimes you are too busy moving to realize you are headed in the wrong direction. So Allah slows you down. He removes distractions so you can see what you have been ignoring. There are truths hidden beneath your daily habits that you could only uncover through quiet reflection. You begin to notice things about yourself, your intentions, and your relationships that you had overlooked. You start questioning your purpose, your direction, and your choices. This self-reflection is not a detour. It is part of the path. There are people who spend their entire lives surrounded by noise and movement but never meet themselves. They keep filling their time so they don't have to face their thoughts. But Allah in His mercy interrupts that cycle. He puts you in a position where you must face your inner world. You start to see the cracks in your character that need fixing. You notice the pain you never healed from, the goals you abandoned, the faith you neglected, the dreams you buried under routine. Reflection opens the door to transformation. Pauses also give you time to detach from things that are not meant for your future. You may feel that certain friendships fade, certain plans dissolve, or certain interests disappear from your heart. You might not understand why you are losing motivation for the things that once drove you. But this is not the loss of purpose. It is the realignment of purpose. Allah removes what no longer serves your growth so you can make space for what will. If your life was constantly crowded with distractions, you would cling to the wrong things out of habit and fear. There are also times when silence exposes the truth about others. When you stop reaching out, you see who reaches in. When you become still, you see who checks on you simply out of love and who only came to you out of convenience. Allah uses stillness to separate the sincere from the temporary. He is not depriving you of people. He is protecting you by showing you who belongs in the next chapter and who does not. One of the most powerful aspects of this sign is that silence forces you to hear your soul. You begin to feel a pull toward things that bring you closer to Allah. Maybe you start reading more Quran, reflecting more on your life, or making dua for guidance. You start feeling a discomfort when you engage in things that damage your iman. You feel the urge to improve your character, fix your salah, seek knowledge, or change your routine. That inner movement, even when your outer life feels paused, is part of the preparation. Solitude is also where sincerity grows. When you are away from the attention of others, your intentions begin to purify. You start doing things for Allah rather than for praise or validation. You realize how much you relied on people for comfort, happiness, or distraction, and Allah gently teaches you that peace is not found in noise or crowds but in connection to Him. You begin to appreciate your own company, not because you are enough without Allah, but because you realize He is enough for you. During these quieter seasons, Allah may also give you ideas, inspiration, and clarity that would not come in a crowded schedule. You see new possibilities, discover hidden strengths, and feel pulled toward goals that align with your purpose. You start thinking more deeply about life choices, relationships, career paths, and spiritual growth. You begin to plan not from impulse but from wisdom. Another part of this sign is healing. Silence reveals wounds that business concealed. Some people keep moving to avoid pain, but healing requires stillness. Allah gives you time to process grief, disappointment, or trauma that you never dealt with. He allows your heart to soften, your mind to reset, and your soul to breathe. Through that healing, you gain strength and wisdom necessary for what lies ahead. When Allah gives you silence, He is not putting your life on hold. He is preparing your heart for what is coming. Reflection gives you vision. Healing gives you strength. Solitude gives you sincerity. And clarity gives you direction. What you think is a pause is actually preparation. What feels like emptiness is space being cleared for something new. What feels like loneliness might be exact environment your soul needs to reconnect with its creator. So do not fear silence. Do not rush to fill the pauses with noise. Do not mistake stillness for stagnation. Sometimes the greatest transformations happen in the quietest phases of life. When Allah gives you space, it is because He is about to fill it with something meaningful. When He pulls you away from motion, it is because the next step requires careful intention. Trust the stillness. It is not absence, it is alignment. There are moments when you feel an unexplainable restlessness inside you. A quiet but persistent voice telling you that where you are right now is not where you are meant to stay. Nothing may look wrong on the outside, but something within you keeps pushing, urging, and whispering that there is more ahead. This feeling is not always loud, and it is not always comfortable. It can feel like dissatisfaction, unease, or a longing you can't put into words. You may not know what needs to change, but you know something must. That internal stirring is not random. It is one of the signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater. This restlessness often begins when you have outgrown your current situation without realizing it. Your soul begins to feel limited by environments, habits, or routines that once felt fine. You may wake up and feel disconnected from what used to make you happy. You might find that your goals don't excite you the way they once did. You may feel that the version of yourself you are living no longer reflects the version of yourself you are becoming. Allah places this discomfort in your heart to stop you from settling for less than what He has written for you. Sometimes this inner push comes after disappointment. You may lose something important or go through an experience that shakes you. Instead of breaking you, it opens your eyes to the fact that life has deeper meaning and more potential than you were pursuing. The pain of the past forces you to question the future. You begin to crave change, not for the sake of change itself, but because your soul knows it is ready for a higher purpose. This feeling can also come when you are too attached to comfort. Comfort zones are safe, but they can also be cages. Allah may place a discomfort in your heart, so you stop confusing comfort with fulfillment. You might have a stable job, familiar surroundings, predictable days, and people you know well, but something in you says this is not the destination, just a stop along the way. That uneasiness pushes you to dream bigger, think deeper, and move differently. Another form of this restlessness is when your heart starts seeking more meaning in your connection to Allah. You may find yourself wanting to change your routine, improve your deen, or pursue something more aligned with your purpose. Even if you don't know what that purpose is yet, you feel drawn toward growth. You start looking at your life with new eyes. You question your choices, not in a way that destroys you, but in a way that guides you toward clarity. You begin to think about who you want to be, not just what you need to do. This internal desire for change often brings a sense of dissatisfaction with superficial things. Conversations that once entertained you may now feel empty. Environments that once distracted you begin to feel heavy. Social circles built on gossip, trends, or heedlessness start to feel suffocating. Allah is gently pulling your heart away from what does not nourish your soul. He is preparing you to value time, purpose, character, and faith more than comfort, distraction, or approval. You may also feel a pull towards something you cannot yet define. An idea forms in your mind, a dream starts to appear in your imagination. New thoughts come to you in quiet moments. You don't have the full map, but you feel that the direction of your life is shifting. This is how Allah begins to realign your steps, internally before externally. He doesn't always change your surroundings first. He changes your heart so that when the opportunity comes, you recognize it and are ready to move. Many people ignore this restlessness. They bury it under routines, entertainment, or excuses. They convince themselves that change is risky and staying the same is safer. But that feeling will not disappear because it is not coming from the world. It is coming from your soul. Your soul has been commanded by Allah to grow, rise, and fulfill the potential He placed in you. If you ignore that calling, life will keep reminding you through emptiness, discomfort, or longing. Restlessness is not always a sign of impatience. Sometimes it is a sign of awakening. Your heart realizes before your mind that you are meant to evolve. That is why you may feel unsettled even when nothing seems wrong. Allah does not let you stay where growth cannot happen. He places that stirring inside you so you seek new paths, new efforts, and new levels of faith. This inner pull can also be the beginning of tawakkul. You don't know what comes next, but you trust that Allah is redirecting you for a reason. You begin to surrender, not by giving up, but by opening up. You start asking Allah for guidance rather than clinging to old plans. You become more willing to change, more open to new possibilities, and more conscious of your intentions. When you feel this restlessness, don't dismiss it. It might be the very sign that your next chapter is approaching. Allah is not trying to unsettle you without purpose. He is waking your heart so you don't sleep through your destiny. The feeling that there is something more is not a complaint against your present. It is a signal of your future. Listen to it. Reflect on it. Let it move you closer to the path Allah has chosen for you.